let's get into this transfer portal commitment for the Longhorns. And we'll talk about the departures too, because I think it's interesting. Now you're starting to see a lot of these guys land at certain places, and I've talked about the attrition that is now natural because of the transfer portal. Everybody's going to deal with attrition. So it used to be something that was seen as a negative trend or a negative pattern with your program to have a lot of attrition. I think it's just there's different types of attrition now. I think everybody's going to have it, especially Power 5 programs. But what's the type of attrition that you're having within your program? And I think Texas right now is having, if there is such thing as good attrition, like good cholesterol. You know what I mean? Like it's there. Texas having, I think, some positive attrition. There are some bewildering, puzzling departures within the portal for Texas. The Terrence Brooks one. That's a little, I still haven't really gotten a good reason why Terrence Brooks hit the portal, but that's the only one. The rest of them make sense. And the rest of them, I think, are a result of Texas upgrading and churning out the bottom of their roster and just trying to add more talent, guys who just didn't have a path to play. But we'll summarize that and go over it here in just a second. But I did watch some more film of the young man, Javion Cole. Call him J. Cole if you want to. I don't know. We asked that young man how he feels about the 10th portal commitment for the Longhorns. And I got to tell you, the more film I watch on, the more I like. I'm going to try to watch that. They played USC. So I'm going to try to watch that game today sometime. But I watched the UNLV game. They played against UNLV. UNLV has a really good young receiver who, he's actually, I think he's going to end up playing on Sundays. He actually, if you look at Pro Football Focus, they claim that he was the highest graded returning receiver, period. And that he was the highest graded group of 5 receivers. His name is Ricky White out of UNLV. And I was Brennan Marion, announced the offensive coordinator there, who was the wide receiver coach and passing game coordinator here at Texas. So I wanted to go see kind of what the offense looked like, but also watch how Javion Cole matched up against that offense. So I watched that game. And I watched that Utah State game that they played. And Javion Cole, you can tell they don't target him. That was obvious in the USC game too. And he did not, he did not allow a completion in that USC game on him. Like I said, I want to go back and watch like play by play and see the targets and stuff like that. But they don't target him a lot. You can tell the preparation by the opposing team is, let's throw at the other corner. The other corner gets more targets and gets attacked more, if you will, than Javion Cole. So I think that alone, the respect alone, guys, is a good sign. Trust me, I've been the other corner. I was the other corner a lot because I played opposite Quentin Jammer, who's a top 5 pick, played opposite Nathan Vasher, who the all-time tied for the all-time lead in interceptions at Texas. You don't want to throw at them dudes. Like, that's stupid. So you throw at the other guy. Whoever that other corner is. I was the other corner. So I got a lot of work. I got a lot of targets at me. And it made sense, right? I mean, you got to choose out of those guys, which is also, why I'm top 5 in PBUs at Texas, right? Passes broke it up, but I probably should be higher up on the interceptions list, but you guys know I dropped some of those. But I digress. So I do know that if you're throwing the football, you come up with a game plan, you're going to attack certain defenders before you attack more high-level elite defenders. You're going to single them out. I was often singled out. At least if you're throwing at the corners, you ain't going to throw at the All-American or the guy that is the all-time leader in interceptions. He'll make you pay. So that, I think, was a good thing. Also, you go look at his the way he plays. I don't necessarily like his run fits. I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm just looking at it as a scout. He's not great coming down to be a forced run defender if you have to make him, fit in the running game. I worry about that on some of those wide receiver screens that everybody throws a ton of. He's going to see, 4-5 wide receiver screens a game. He's got to come down and be, a physical defender, beat the block, keep contained, force it back inside. I'm not saying I'm worried about it, but I didn't see a lot of effective run fits by him. And he's a corner, so he doesn't have to do it a lot. But Sark makes corners fit the run. That's why he likes those compressed sets, those condensed sets, those formations that are really tight, because they force the DBs to have to come up and be run defenders. And he knows that DBs don't like to fit the run, so you'll end up with some one-on-ones with your tight end on a DB, or the one-on-one will be Jay Brooks, in the hole against a nickel back. and Sark's like, that's a win for him. So we'll see. But in the SEC, that would be a concern. But I love the way he plays deep balls. Like I told you yesterday, he triangulates really well. And what I mean by triangulate, being able to in zone coverage, being able to identify quarterback to number one to number two on your side. You're gonna be able to see a wide view of the entire picture to see to your side what your keys are, to be able to see out of your periphery. All right, you know what? I can see the number one receiver, but I'm keying the quarterback, and being able to snap his head right after he reads the first key, which is quarterback, or the three step. He can immediately, his very disciplined eyes, snapping his head back to number one or to his next key, which could be number two in the zone coverage. That's what I love about it. Texas DBs have issues at times with the disciplined eyes. So he's got really disciplined eyes, and I love the fact that they respect him. High IQ football player who just makes plays on the football. Said this yesterday. He makes a lot of plays on the football. And even in that game that I watched him versus Ricky White, like I said, who's going to play on Sundays, 2 targets and 2 passes broken up in that game. So, I mean, like I said, I think he is a coverage specialist. I worry about, like I said, run fit, and I worry if he can play press man, which Texas wants to do more of. He didn't do a lot of that I've seen so far. Didn't do a lot of that at San Jose State, but I think that was just more the system. They didn't want him doing it. Texas will ask him to do it. I think he could easily pick that up and become, a technician when it comes to his technique playing press. But they didn't ask him to do a lot. But he's excellent playing off coverage. I mean, he may be as good playing off coverage as I'm trying to think right now as any of the as Gavin Holmes is. And I got, Malik Muhammad is really good playing off coverage. Jadae Barron, he may be your third best off coverage corner right now, behind Jadae Barron and behind Malik Muhammad. Just throwing it out there. So there you go. Looking at the latest transfer portal acquisition, Javion Cole for Texas. Let's talk about departures real quick. I've been on this for a while that, people used to look at attrition, like departures, people leaving via the transfer portal, as a really negative thing. If you had a lot of guys leaving in the last 2 transfer portal cycles combined, Texas had 21 guys leave. It's not a negative thing. It's only a negative thing really if you're having starters leave. A lot of starters leave your program. That's troubling because it's hard to replace good starting reps. Out of the 21 guys that are leaving the program for Texas, pull up the list here. I think you got 2 starters out of that group, Terrence Brooks and Jaron Thompson. Now, there was some contributors. Savion Red contributed. He was I think a guy you can consider a contributor. I'm talking more than just special teams. I'm talking about somebody who actually gave you, important reps, in-game live reps, crucial reps during the game. Savion Red's in that category. Malik Murphy was in that category because he came in and was big time for you as a backup quarterback. Trill Carter was in that category on the interior defensive line. He was one of those guys. And Keaton Crawford was one of those guys as a contributor. So I would say you lost 2 starters, both in the secondary, Jaron Thompson and Terrence Brooks, and you lost 4 contributors. And, one of those also is in the secondary, and Keaton Crawford. But that's, to me, that's Texas upgrading at safety, right? They believe bringing in Makuba is an upgrade. A young Derek Williams ascending is an upgrade. So they believe they upgraded at the safety position. The corner position, that's the only one that is worrisome. Every other position that Texas just kind of churned it out. And what I also try to keep up with now, and I'm glad that, like On3 and other organizations like this keep up with the transfer portal departures and their destinations. I like to keep up with how many players are leaving your program that are going to Power 5 programs, Group of 5 programs. Now, 5 of these guys are undecided. That's Samaje Burrell, Terrence Brooks, Austin Jordan. We don't know yet. Remember Christopher Ross? I don't know where he ended up with. And Savion Red still hasn't announced where he's going. So you got 5 guys who are undecided. You got 9 guys who are going to the Group of 5 level. And you have 7 guys who are going to Power 5. So that's not bad. 7 guys who are going to Power 5. That's you got 33% rate of your players. So a third of your players basically are being coveted by schools who are on your competitive level. and the guys who are going to the group of five, I mean, not that it's bad or anything like that, but they're going down to a lower competitive level. And to me, that's a different type of attrition. That means you've churned out the roster, and those are guys who may have been, like I say, they may have been over. They may have been the guys who had peaked a little early, potentially, or the guys that didn't fit your system. Guys who didn't fit your system, guys that peaked too early, guys who may have been a little overrated when it comes to their recruiting score, potentially. And I think ultimately for Texas, that's most of their departures. But yeah, there are a couple that, yeah, you just genuinely are going to miss. I mean, and the guys who are going to Power Five schools, Peyton Kirkland, it's one of those guys. Peyton Kirkland's going to Colorado. Zach Swanson going to Arizona State. Jamon Tapp is going to Arizona State. Malik Murphy went to Duke. Isaiah Nayor went to Nebraska. Trill Carter went to Auburn. And I believe, oh yeah, you got Jaron Thompson who went to Auburn. So those are your team, your players that went to Power Five programs. And I think it's good. Like I said, I think you should keep up with. If you're a Longhorn fan, you should keep up with. It's almost like stalking your ex. I always say cyber stalking your ex. That's not cool, but checking up on your ex, nothing wrong with that. And a lot of people check up on their exes on social media. There's a study that found that 48% of people remain friends with their exes on Facebook. 88% check up on their ex's page on Facebook. People check up on their exes. It's cool to check up on them. Don't cyber stalk. That's not cool. That's creepy. And same thing when you have players who are leaving the program. It's cool to check up on them because I think it's good when if they're playing and actually starting at another program and they didn't start at Texas. Really good sign for your program. Really good sign for the overall health of your roster. That the guys that you churned out that didn't have a path to play went to Power Five schools, Group of Five schools, and were able to go there and contribute. So I try to keep up with, did they contribute where they went to, and did they start wherever they went? And if you have that type of attrition, that's positive attrition. That's like I said, it's like good cholesterol. Like that's like